The Dearborn Independent, November 20th, 1926, Volume 27, Number 5. Mr. Ford's page. We have reached the point in this country where we know enough concerning the intelligent control and direction of economic conditions to prevent the occurrence of so-called hard times. If people would stop talking about good and bad business and concentrate on normal business, many of the evils would vanish. We must direct our energies towards the steady output and purchase of products needed now. The responsibility lies within the purchasing public as well as with the producer. Only by regular, consistent buying of goods needed at the time can we maintain a logical prosperity. There is little excuse in this generation for what we call bad times. There is none at all for abject poverty. Everything that man can use in this world waiting to be taken. The minerals within the earth, the foodstuffs on the surface, the air above. The elements all combine to supply humanity's needs. All that is left for man to do is to extract, convert, and distribute those things which nature has provided. And yet, when man falls down on this job, he complains of bad times, as though they had been decreed by some hidden force over which he has no control. In this connection, we have been told much about the so-called cycles of business, the theory that because we have a succession of good years, it must necessarily follow that we are to have a succession of bad years. A belief has grown up in this country that business must rest either upon a high peak of prosperity or in a canyon of depression. Coupled with this belief is another theory that business is regulated by some occult power beyond the reach of human hands, and that it is hopeless to intervene when this power decrees that a reversal of good times is on the way. Nothing in America is quite so distressing as a spectacle of a supposedly astute businessman running for cover at the first rumor of business depression and not making the slightest effort to analyze conditions to determine whether the predictions are justified. In most cases, a thorough analysis would show that they are merely the product of unwarranted hysteria. The surprising thing about so-called hard times is that they are, in the beginning at least, largely a state of mind. They are brought about by fear. If people would only stop talking about good and bad times and concentrate on normal business, many of the evils of hard times would vanish. The cry back to normality is heard, but the reality we should never get so far away from normalcy that we have to get back to it. By business, we mean the medium through which the needs of the people are supplied. Nobody can ever buy anything that is useful and worthwhile but that it does him some good. A steady prosperity is maintained when people buy continuously and regularly what they need now. A need implies the supplying of a deficiency. A nation's needs are determined by the nation's civilization. The needs in America are far greater than the needs of a bushman in Africa because America is more highly civilized. And as a nation descends the ladder of civilization, its needs increase. But caution must be exercised in determining just what our present needs are, so that an unbalanced supply of needful goods shall not be produced. The matter of individual needs must be left to the individual persons. A microscope may be needed for one man and an absurdity for another. It is for the individual to determine just what constitutes a logical purchase, in other words, a necessity for himself. His reckoning must be based on his logical ability to pay, the use to which he will put the article, and whether that use is a matter of present or the future. No business can be justified which is not designated primarily to perform some constructive service to society. Yet it must be acknowledged that not all business is conducted upon this basis of service. And therein lies what small justification there is for the delusion of bad times. When people are led to buy things they don't need now and cannot afford, an artificial prosperity is created. Purchasing beyond ability to pay brings about the exchange of non-essential goods in unprecedented volume and the expansion of debt to the danger point. This gives rise to a wave of hysteria which deludes many people into the belief that we're in the midst of good times, when as a matter of fact we're creating the very conditions which eventually bring about business reverses. When the natural reaction comes, these people become panicky. The alarm of hard times is sounded, and fear grips the buying public. Those who have been buying beyond their necessary limits, swinging far below the line of common sense, and refuse to buy even ordinary essentials. This sudden withdrawal of purchasing power affects all classes of industry. There can be only one result. Factories are closed, men are thrown out of work, business becomes stagnant. Just as many people need things as ever, just as many need the work. Yet, because of the collapse and the boom on non essentials, the vital connecting link between production and purchase is broken and everybody suffers. The responsibility lies within the purchasing public as well as with the producer. Only by constant buying of goods needed at the time can we maintain a logical prosperity.